Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Thursday free card class or project class, whatever it may be. Tonight it is projects that we are going to be making. This is a pre-recorded video because I knew that I didn't want to take my people away from their families for Thanksgiving. My name is Sue Sanders, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Missouri. We finished eating. I've got to fix my camera here a little bit. It's just my desk is absolutely a mess. I have been working all day in my stamp studio. I was like so happy because my husband made turkey pot pie tonight for our Thanksgiving dinner, and it was so good. I mean, it was just absolutely marvelous. Anyway, if you are watching me for the first time, either on my Facebook page or my YouTube page, please give me a thumbs up. That helps me. And then hit the subscribe button down below. And if you ring that little bell, then you will be notified whenever I do go live. I normally go live on Thursday evenings, except for the last Thursday of the month. I'm sorry, for the fourth Thursday of the month. But anyway, today was Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody had a wonderful day. I hope you all got full. We're going to have some pumpkin pie or custard later on as soon as I get done uploading this video. So let's just get right in and get started. I am going to be using all retired Christmas paper from years past. A lot of it's from last year, some of it's from 2 years ago, but I have such a stockpile of this that it was like, okay, with these little projects, I just need little bits of paper. So I'm going to use some of the scraps that I have that aren't big enough to make my Christmas cards with. So I do not have the projects made up. I wanted to show you how they went together from start to finish. But I do have, and these will be posted out on my blog, SusieQStamping.com. So the measurements and the diagrams to cut your boxes with are all out there. They'll be on a PDF that you can go out to my Google Docs and download those. So this is the lid for our box number 1. And it is just a 6x6 piece of paper. And we're going to score it at 1 7/16 on all 4 of the sides. Excuse me. And then we're going to miter cut each of the corner flaps. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. This is the box base, and it is 8.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock. This is old retired cardstock that I use to make my diagrams up on. And we are going to score on all of the sides at 2 3/4 of an inch. So to save us time and my space, I have already gone ahead and prepared my box base, and I have scored it all. And now, referring to my diagram over here, we are going to cut off the pieces that we need to discard. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to cut up on each of the corners from the bottom to the first score line. So I'm just going to cut up to that first score line on all 4 sides, or I should say both sides, because we don't want to cut opposite, so we want them all going in the same direction. So I'm going to rotate it around, and now I'm cutting this side. This is such an easy box to make, and there's so many different things that will fit in this. I have several examples that I will show you once we get this put together. Okay, so now we excuse me, my bronchitis and sinuses are really acting up on me. So now we have our paper and the box is all cut in our flaps. Now we are going to take our paper trimmer. And if you didn't want to take your paper trimmer, you wouldn't have to, but I don't cut very straight, so I kind of like to use my paper trimmer. And we are going to cut off 1 1/4 inch off of each of these corner flaps. So what I'm going to do is fold this in, fold those parts in so that they don't get cut off. And I'm going to line this up at the 1 1/4 mark on my trimmer. So 1 1/4, and I am just going to give that a slice. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom one. I'm going to mark it at 1 1/4, and I know you can't see me because it's down here at the edge of my table, but it's just the same thing that I did at the top. I'm going to rotate my paper around, and I'm going to do the same thing because I don't want to cut these extra flaps. So 1 1/4. Whoops, I better move that. I can do it all at one time because I've got it both. I can line them both up at 1 1/4 as long as I have that center one out of the way. I can cut them both off at once. Easy peasy. Okay. All right. So that leaves us now with our paper that looks like this. Okay. And like I said, you will see out there on my blog, you will have a link to go out and download this PDF that will show you where you have to cut at and then to cut off that 1 1/4 inch. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is we do want to miter our corners. All right. It always just helps when you miter your corners so that they are, they kind of fit better. So we're going to fold in our center flap, and I'm just going to take and trim off just a teeny bit off of each one of these sides. And that is what is considered mitering the corners. And I like to do it on both the inside and the outside edges. Sometimes I get carried away and sometimes I have to do it on the back side. I cut off too much and I don't really want to do that. Okay, so then I'll come to this side and I'll do the same thing over here. Oops, I forgot to miter this one. So just make sure that you're getting all of those corners, the flaps that we cut off the 1 1/4 inch on. You want to just make sure that you miter all of those flaps. That will help your box lay flat and go to bed and go together better. Okay. All right. So now we have something that looks like this. Easy peasy, isn't it? So now what we're going to do is we are going to fold up our edges just like so. And I am going to use the Tear and Tape adhesive because what I'm going to be putting into this box is quite heavy. And so I want to make sure that it is sturdy and it's not going to come apart. But before we do that, well, I'm going to go ahead and lay down my tape, but then I'm going to go ahead and decorate my outside. I want to make sure I'm putting this on the right side. So it's going to go on the bottom portion, and I'm going to also put on a piece at the top so that I know that it's adhered at 2 different places on that flap. And if you were just going to put something light in this box, you wouldn't have to put extra tape on it or extra adhesive, but wait till I show you what fits in this box. And it is so cool because, you know, we always have, excuse me, I do anyway. I always kind of have a hard time figuring out what kind of little gifts, especially when I worked at an office that there was men and women, and I love to give little gifts like these to everybody in the office. but it was really difficult to find something that I could give to the men that was masculine and not feminine. So I had an idea about this box, and I thought, ooh, that's going to be a fun box to give to a man in an office or anywhere that you work at. One more side to put tape on, and then we will be ready to do our decorating, because I think it might be easier if we lay our designer series paper down before we put the box together. And you wouldn't have to put the designer series paper on this. You could just leave it red like it is. This is real red. So we could just put it together just like this and have the lid, and it would be just fine. But I am putting some designer series paper. Like I said, I have got lots of paper that is retired, that is Christmas paper, and I want to use it up. I'm tired of holding on to it. So we're going to make sure that I'm going to have it laid out flat. So I'm using these little Christmas trees, and I'm just going to attach this with my Stampin' Seal Plus. Maybe if I run out, I'll use my glue. And if you do decide to do some designer series paper, make sure that you know which direction your paper is going. And I did not give measurements for this part on the card because I figured that everybody could measure what their finished box was and then just figure out that little bit to give a border on it. But this does measure out at I have cut them at 2 3/4 by 2 1/2 is what my designer series paper is. So now we're going to do the other sides. So I don't know about any of you all, but I know that if you live in America, tomorrow is Black Friday. So how many of you, leave me a comment, just because we're not live, go ahead and comment on my video. How many of you go Black Friday shopping? I never used to. In fact, I didn't until I was, maybe 3 years ago. I went Black Friday shopping and I had a ball. My daughter and I, we go to certain stores. I love to go to Kohl's on Black Friday. They open at 5 in the morning, so we always try to get there like at 4 o'clock in the morning so that we can be in line. One of us sits in the car and stays warm while the other one stands outside, and then we swap places. So we go to Kohl's, and then right up from Kohl's is Menards, and I always find something at Menards that I need. I usually get my husband some layered t-shirts and things. So, all right, so now we have our designer series paper on all the sides, and I'm going to take your pick tool, and I'm going to burnish. Where did I put I just had my bone folder. Y'all see, here it is. Found it. I'm just going to burnish that tape down real good to make sure that it's going to stick. Okay, if you have any questions after you've watched the video, or go out and download the directions off of my blog, contact me by email, and then we can have a discussion on it, and I'll be able to help you out with that, because these are not hard. They do take some thinking. One of the boxes does take a lot of, it's a thought process, and I think I just was, I don't know, doing it backwards. But once I figured out what I was doing wrong, then it became very easy, and I thought, well, how silly is that I couldn't figure this out? But it was the way I was turning my paper to score it. So now I'm just going to match up my corners on my sides the best that I can. And you can see there, that's why I mitered them just a little bit so that they didn't hang over the outside of my box. Okay, 2 more to do. And I'm going to show you another example of this box that I made into a Kleenex box holder. I used the same pattern for this as I did for my Kleenex box, other than the fact that I didn't punch a hole or die cut a hole for this box with the lid, because I've got something that's going to go inside of it. So now we're going to adhere this. There's a little piece of tape sticking up there. We're going to place this on the corners. Sometimes if you use glue, it sometimes is better because you've got a little wiggle room. But like I said, what I'm going to be putting in here is heavier than some things. So there is our box. Okay. So now let's do our lid real quick. And our lid, I am using some of the just retired, yes, my mind is just a blank. Checkered, I don't want to call it gingham because it's not gingham, plaid paper that we had a couple of years ago. And this is black and white. So I thought the black would really be pretty. So I've already got all of my score lines done at the 1 7/16. All right, and now what we're going to do, and it will show you here on the diagram, we are going to cut up on each one of these corners and then miter it. Okay, so we're going to cut up on this one. I think I'm going to turn it over on this way. I think I can see the score lines better. So we're going to cut up to the first score line on each one of these corners. So let me know what y'all had for Thanksgiving. I know some people do really untraditional Thanksgivings, kind of like what we did this year, but I think it's kind of fun to know what everybody makes. I know the last Thanksgiving that my dad was alive, we had chicken paprikash. That was one of his favorite meals, and so I said, well, we're going to make that for him. All right, now we're going to go in and we're going to miter our corners just like we did on our box so that these will lay nice and flat and won't go over the bottom of our lid. And I'm just folding up that middle flap so that I don't catch it when I'm cutting out my little V's here, or my little pieces. You don't have to cut too much usually. It's just a little bit. Also, if you are new to watching my channel, let me know where you're watching from. If you've watched before, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from if you're not from the United States, or even if you are. I like to know where I've reached people to. Something that you could do that would help me out a lot is if you would share my video to your friends that you have that are stampers. That always helps me. All right, so now we are going to put together our lid. And for our lid, I'm going to just put it together with the, I was going to use glue, but I don't think I can find it on my desk. There it is, buried underneath something. All right, so we are just going to use some glue, and we're going to put it on all of these little 4 corner tabs, because the lid doesn't necessarily have to be as sturdy as our box. So I'm just squaring up my corners. We did have a beautiful day today for Thanksgiving. It was kind of chilly, but I did go outside without a jacket on. That's probably why my sinuses and bronchitis is acting up, because I didn't wear a jacket. All right, got 2 corners done. This is going to be so cute for a man, I tell you. And I wish I'd have known about this while I was still working in an office, because it was always so difficult for me to find little things that I could make. I mean, you know, when you're talking office coworkers and you've got 30 of them, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it. So I used to just try to make my gifts for everybody. And I do this also. When we go out to eat for the month of December, I always take along some little goodies with me, and then I give them to my wait staff. We have a tradition that we go to Outback on Christmas Eve, and so we always give a little thank you gift, just a little gift for our wait staff, thanking them that they are working on Christmas Eve, and that allows us then to continue our tradition that we started many years ago, going to dinner at Outback. We never really eat at Outback any other time of the year other than at Christmas time. So, all right, so now we have our lid made, and it does have a wide band on it, and I wanted it that way. Okay, so that is the box, but let me show you what I'm putting in this box. I picked up this little can of peanuts at the dollar store. It doesn't quite fit. There's a little bit of a gap, okay? But because I have a wide lid on that, see, you can't even tell. I love it, okay? Now, to embellish this little box, I just took a Christmas stamp, and it was too long for anything that I wanted. So I did mask it off, and I embossed it in black on red, on the real red. And then I took the little bear from the Very Cute set, and I did his scarf on red and embossed it with white. And then I embossed the bear on black with clear embossing powder so that you could see his defining features. And I am just going to put him at the base of this Merry Christmas, right about here. I'm just going to do part of him, because not all of him is going to get stuck. So we're just going to kind of look to see where I'm going to place him at. Just about so. All right. And now I'm going to take some dimensionals, and I'm going to stick him up on some dimensionals. And one of the fun things about these boxes is you can embellish them however you want. I mean, you can put paper bands around them for a belly band. You could do ribbon. I think I'm going to see what kind of ribbon I've got that might look good with this. I don't think I want to use the black check, because I think that would be too much black. And I do want this to be masculine, so I'm not so sure I want the black glitter. Let's see. I have some retired real red that is not sparkly. So we're going to just do a little band up here. We're going to lay this like so. And we're going to wrap this as if it was a present, kind of. And we're going to cut this off. I'm not going to tie a bow to this. Okay, it's just going to be like a belly band with the ribbon. So I'm just going to tie a square knot. And I need my third hand, which is my tweezers. There they are. Whoops. I didn't get that on there very well, did I? So if you have a lot of discontinued product, this is a great way to use up some of those products because it really doesn't matter if they're discontinued or not. Okay, so there I've got my knot tied. And we are just going to cut off the edges a little bit because I don't really want them long. And now we're going to take our little bear and we are going to put him on top of that knot. But I'm going to move that one embellishment. I'm going to move that over to here. Where did I put those? Let's see, make sure that it's going to kind of clear that ribbon. And it looks like it will. So we're going to put this down on it. And you have a very simple yet really cute box to give someone a masculine card box or treat box. So isn't that cute? Then all I have to do is just take this ribbon off and open it up and see what it is. You could even make a little tag that says who it's from. Okay, so that's box number 1. I love it. All right, let's move on. The next box that I have is a little bit more difficult, but it's not too bad. And I do have a diagram for you on how to put it together. So this is the diagram for the candle box, is what I'm calling this one. And so this will fit different size candles. You can get candles there at Bath and Body Works, or you can buy candles at the dollar store or Dollar General, even at Walmart. Walmart had some really cute candles that were in a metal tin. I don't want to get you confused. So those are the directions for card number 1. All right, so for the box card for the candles, and that's what it's referred to as the candle box, you're going to have a piece of paper cardstock that measures 8 3/4 by 8 3/4. Okay, now you're going to score at certain ways, and you're going to have 2 pieces like this. Okay, I've just got one diagram. And that's where I always was getting messed up on, because I didn't think it mattered which way I scored it, but it does. So I'm going to show you how we do that. Then for the lid of the box, we need a 8 3/16 by 8 3/16 piece of cardstock. And we're going to score it on all 4 sides at 1 and 2 inches. And then we're going to cut out all those little places that have the X's. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to miter the corners again. So I've already got the box cut. So let me see. It is very important. Let me because I do want to show you this. This is probably the hardest thing, and this is where I kept getting messed up on. I'm going to show you how you need to do this, and I would suggest that if you're like me and you get kind of confused, I would make a little mark at the top so that you know what is the place that you need to start at. So I don't want the lid, I want the box. So we need 8 3/4. We know that it's 8 1/2 this way. So I needed 8 3/4 this way. Okay. And you're going to do the same way on both of these pieces of cardstock. Okay. We're just going to pretend that I have 2 pieces. All right. Along the 8 3/4 side, which is right up here that we've already got up here at the trimmer, we are going to cut, or I'm sorry, not cut. We are going to score at 4 1/8. And this tells you on your instructions 4 1/8, and then 8 1/4. So we're going to move it down here to 8 1/4, and that's going to leave us this small little 1/2 inch piece on our, let's score that again. It didn't seem to score too good. The 4 1/8 mark. So that just didn't seem like I had a good score line. Okay, so now this is where the important thing is, okay? You can't rotate it this way. You cannot rotate it counterclockwise. That's what I was doing wrong. You must rotate it clockwise so that your little 1/2 inch score line is at the bottom. And now you are going to score along the 8 1/2 inch side, which is right up here, and you are going to score at 4 1/8. And move it over to 7 3/4. And that's where I kept getting myself confused, was how I was rotating my paper. So if you don't remember anything else that I've told you, remember that you want to have that little 1/2 inch at the bottom when you're scoring on that 8 1/2 inch side. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to refer to my other thing here. We are going to, so I have my, I'm going to rotate my paper here. This is my top, but that was for how I was going to do my paper. So I have my little 1/2 inch side right here at the bottom. We are going to cut off this little square. And that just all gets taken off. Okay. And then we're going to take off this whole section here. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to start down here at the base, and I am going to cut off all the way up to that score line, that center score line. And I'm going to cut that piece completely off because we don't need it. Okay. All right. We are going to do the same thing now over on the other side, on the other piece of paper. Okay. Now these, we do have to cut up to the score line like so. And that one is cut up, and that one's cut up, and we have to miter these. So we're just going to cut in a little bit. Make sure that you miter all your corners, and that's going to help you get a nice, good fit. And remember, you're going to have two pieces exactly alike, okay? So I've only got one piece, but you're going to end up with two pieces because I've got two pieces to show you over here. Okay. Now we do have to cut up this score line. And we're going to cut it all the way up to that center score line that we have. Okay. And here again, we have to cut off a little bit. And to me, it's easier getting my trimmer out. And I know that this is my little 1/2 inch side. This is the piece that I cut off. So it's this flap over here that I want to cut off. And I'm going to line it up at 2 1/16. And I am going to cut off that extra little piece. And you'll understand that when I go to put this box together, why I've done that. So you will wind up with 2 pieces of cardstock that look just like this. And I have those, and I am using Starry Sky. So here are my 2 pieces, just like I showed you, okay? Now, we're going to use tear and tape again for these. And so what I want to do is I want to put tear and tape on the, now let me think of this a minute, because this is going to go, these are going to actually be put together like this to make one long piece of paper, okay? So I want to put tear and tape on the inside, and I know here it is, it's blue paper, so it's making my screen look yellow. And I'm going to put it right here by the score line. Yeah, I'm going to put it right, let's see, where do I want to put it? I want to put it at the edge, and then I'm going to put another piece. Since this isn't thick, I want it nice and adhered to each other, since I'm putting together 2 pieces of paper. So I'm going to put that piece then right up to the score line. And don't worry, you can peel off both of these pieces with your tape, or with your take your pick tool. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. This one, I almost messed it up. That's going to get placed there, and then this is going to get placed over here. So this one, sometimes I have to stop and think to myself how I'm putting this together. So this is going to go like that, and this piece is going to get folded up. This piece is going to get folded over here, and this one I want on the back side. Sometimes I get it in my head, I know what I'm doing, but then if I'm talking, I'm not paying attention, so I have to stop and really look to see what it is that I need to do. All right, so that's the first thing that we're going to do, is we are going to attach these 2 pieces of, what did I do? Did I put it? Are you kidding me? Look what I did. I put the adhesive on the same piece of paper. Can you believe what I did? I can't. That piece needs to go like this. Well, I'm going to leave that adhesive on there because I am not ripping it off, and it's not going to do it. It's not going to hurt anything. So, all right. So now I need to put adhesive over here. Don't ask me why I put adhesive on the same piece of paper. That was kind of silly. All right, y'all need to be watching, because I am hoping that I can get around to making some more gift containers that are very simple and easy for some other things that are inexpensive. And yet I personally would love to get things like what I'm making little bags and boxes for. All right, so this is going to go here like this. And maybe I will try to get that tape up, because it will bother me, but we'll see how well I can do. I can always take my eraser. Try my... No, it's not going to come up, and I am not going to ruin this project, so we're going to just leave it. And I'm not going to worry about it. Mistakes are made, and I will fix it. All right. So I'm going to pull those 2 pieces off. I'm going to take my one piece, And I am going to line it up. I'm going to do it this way. And I'm going to make sure that all of my seams, all of my score lines match up. And put this piece right there along that score line. So now I have one long big piece, okay? If I hadn't burnished it so bad, this will bother me, and y'all know that, right? Because it will look kind of silly on the inside of my car or my box. So let's see what I can do to fix my boo-boo. Well, it's tearing my paper, but at least it's not stark white. And I can usually take my finger and get that adhesive off of there. But there is my... I don't know what happened to my adhesive remover now. It was in my drawer. Oh, it's here on this desk somewhere. I'm sure of it, but I think I can get it this way. Have you ever done that before? Laid this tear and tape down where you didn't want it, and then you had to try to get it off? Okay, so that adhesive is off. I know it makes a discoloration in my paper, but you know what? It's all good. So now all I have to do is take this adhesive off of this side. It's one piece. Now come on. There we go. And we're going to fold over to the first score line like that, and then we're going to fold this one in, and we're going to line it up and make sure that everything lines up good, just like that. So now we have a box, and I am just kind of reinforcing those score lines. Okay, so now we have our box, and I must have cut this one down when I made it for a smaller candle, but that's all right because I can find something to put in this. Okay, this would probably, I bet this would even hold a mug. I've got one here that we're going to check out and see. All right, so this is why I had to cut off those extra long pieces. Okay, we didn't want all that extra bulk on that. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to put glue on both of these flaps. And you could use your tape runner if you wanted to, or you could use the double-sided, the tear and tape, either one. All right. And I'm just going to start by folding up one side, kind of folding these down with my other hand so that I can make it nice and square, because we don't want an oblong box if we're wanting a square box. Okay, and I'm going to just fold that one out so that I can go ahead and get inside there and rub this. I think I had another one in my head, another box that I made. Oh, I know what I did. I used the same box that I did for my peanuts. I used it for my candle, but I had a smaller lid to it. Okay, well, this will fit one of the 3-wick candles that you get from Bath and Body Works. I can't burn candles anymore. They give me headaches. So, unfortunately, I don't get to have candles burning anymore. So now I'm going to just make sure that I've got this all squared up on all my corners, and then I'm going to press it down really good. Okay, now these flaps, they are going to go down on the inside to make you have a nice finished inside of your box. All right, so we're just going to pull those out, and I'm going to glue those down real quick. Okay. And we are just going to put some glue on each one of those and fold it down. This just gives your box a nice finished look. And like I said, the more you make boxes, the better you'll get at it. I know that's true for me. Okay, so almost done with this, and then we'll make the lid for this box. Oops, that one popped up. I probably didn't leave it set long enough with the glue. We're going to turn it on its side, and I'm just going to take my bone folder, and I am just going to rub it over all of those pieces that I've glued down now to make sure that they're good and stuck. Okay, so there's our box, and it's a pretty big size box, so you could fit lots of stuff in this box. Not just a candle, but you could use it for another gift. So there's our box. Now here is our lid. Okay, and again, you'll have your lid directions right here. All right, and we've scored, and now we're going to take and cut a lot of these corner pieces off. So we're going to cut all the way. We're going to cut up to the first score line here, and then we're going to cut up to the second score line over here, and we're going to take all of those little extra bits and throw them in the trash because they don't amount to anything. Okay, we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to trim them all off except for that one little tab. And same thing here. So who else gives other little gifts to people? And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and miter our corners a little bit here, just so that they give us, oh, we do need to trim all the way up. I made a mistake. You got to cut all the way up, but don't cut this one off. You got to keep it, okay? You got to keep that little flap, and you got to keep, so you do want to cut up all the way to the second score line so that they turn into little tabs. I'd rather double check myself in cutting than cut something that I shouldn't be cutting, because that's happened before too, and that has some of the score line on it. Oops, see, I just about cut the wrong side for my tabs, or for my, yeah, for my tab. So here's that. Now we got to do this one. So we've got to cut all the way up to the second score line. Cut up to the first score line. Cut this off. And that's gone. This piece is gone. Okay. And all these bits of trash out of the way. Okay, now we're going to do our miters of our corners, because that really does help your box take on a really professional look. So I've got all of them mitered, and that's just a little bit more of a score line there. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to fold up these corners and we are going to glue them here. So we're just going to go ahead and glue our corners. Making sure that you get them nice and squared. It almost matches my nails. I think this is Starry Sky is what I used. You'll be surprised at the paper that I've gone with for this one. I think it's so pretty, but it was one of my favorite papers, and I could not bear to part with it. So I've just hung on to it and hoarded it. This year it's like, okay, I have got to stop hoarding paper. That is one of my resolutions for 2024 is to stop hoarding paper. Use it or get rid of it because it will not do me or anybody else any good as long as it is just sitting in my drawers. So now we're going to do those two sides. Just going to hold those for a minute just to make sure that they're going to get nice and stuck on there. See, and that one, it didn't want to stick. So we're going to put it back in there. We're going to hold it a second more. Set it down, and now I'm going to go ahead and run my bone folder over. And we have these extra tabs to give it a real nice finished look on the inside as well as reinforcing it, okay? So what I need to do, though, because I didn't, let's go around, and I failed to do this. Let's go around and miter all of these corners on these extra tabs because we don't want them to be bulky. Oops. And it doesn't take but just a second to cut that little bit out of there. And it'll make it look so much better. So let me know what you think of these so far. Leave me a comment, and possibly I will have a drawing next week for something. Not a box, because that's too hard to mail to people, but possibly something else. Okay. Last corner to miter, and we are done with that. Now we're going to take our glue, and we are going to put it on the inside of all of these top flaps. And we're going to fold them inside and stick them down. Like I said, this is just going to make a real nice finish to the inside of your box. They won't see the seams. They'll be saying, oh, would you make me some boxes like that? I've got some gifts I want to give. So just as a reminder, next week, Thursday, which will be Thursday the 30th of November, it will be another recorded video because I have a Blue Star Mothers meeting. So I will be in Columbia, Missouri that night. Okay. All right. So now that is our lid. And I know this video might be running just a little bit later, but okay. But here is the lid for that box. See how nice that fits? Oh, I love it, love it. All right, so real quick, this is the paper that I chose to put on for this. Well, I chose it, but it's not going to fit because I didn't measure correctly. So, but I'm going to use that Peaceful Cabin paper. Okay, so this is going to be the top of my box. And I probably wouldn't even have to do anything else. I could just put that on the top of my box. I could even put some silver paper on the top of it and layer this on top of it and then put some ribbon around it and it would be done and make a tag. So let's see, what do I have here that would fit in this box? I have a cup, a mug that, kind of sort of fits, but it kind of bulges out. So that might not be, that cup might not work too well. Okay. Doesn't bulge it too much, but it does bulge it. So that mug, I don't think will fit because of the way it's shaped. So that mug won't fit, but look at here. Here is a little scarf for your hair that you can stick in there. You could stick a candle in here along with that little scarf. You could put so much stuff in this one little box. Okay, there's a keychain that you could put in here. Of course, you'd want to take it out of the packaging. And always put a little bit of candy in there. Put some chocolate in there. Oh, I know what we could put in this box. Let's see. Take this out of the packaging. But that could go in there. So you could put a whole lot of goodies in this one box to give to somebody as a little gift. Now, I have, let's see. Well, I have a hot cocoa bomb, okay? This was given to me and I completely forgot about it, so I need to make me some hot chocolate. But you have those hot cocoa bombs that you get. You could put one of those in there and put some other, maybe some little cookies or something in there. Wouldn't that make a nice, cute gift for somebody? I think so. I think it's adorable. All right, so that is that box. Now, I've saved the easiest box for last, okay? It won't take us any time at all to put it together. And I will post pictures of these boxes out on my blog so that you can see what they look like. Again, I am using retired paper, and in this case, I'm also using retired inks. So this is the pattern for the last card or the last box. And you start with a 5 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock. You will score it along the 5 1/4 mark or the 5 1/4 side at the top of your scoreboard or your trimmer, and you will score at a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 4 1/4 inch, and 4 3/4. Then you will rotate it around for the 5 1/2 inch side, and you're going to score it then at a 1/2 inch, 2 1/2 inches, 3 inches, and 5 inches. Okay. Remember, kind of work going counter or going clockwise with your paper when you're scoring it. I think that we might find that a bit easier. And then you're going to need a corner rounder if you want to. And then, of course, it shows you where you're going to be cutting off all the little bits that you don't need. So I am using Evening Evergreen. This was one of my favorite colors, and they retired it this year. It was an in color. But I did have some left, and I just thought that it looked kind of masculine. Let's see. Oh, yes. But also it could be very feminine also. And I'm going to use some of the Brightest Glow paper because that was, again, one of my favorites. And, of course, I hoarded it. So I have lots of it. Like I said, my goal for 2024 is to not hoard my paper and to use it up, even if it's just making little gift bags and boxes. All right, so here's our pattern. We are going to start at the top, but I'm going to actually, this is going to be my top, okay? Because I can't cut upside down like this. We are going to cut up to the first score line. And we are going to cut both of those pieces off, just like so. Okay, now we are going to cut this over to that score line, and we're going to leave both of those tabs, and we're going to cut this. Okay, so you see how it's coming around to where this is my top. So it's looking like this. Okay, let me do it this way. Now we're going to just flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to cut all the way down to that first score line. We're going to cut over to the second score line and get rid of those two. We're going to cut to the second score line and to the second score line, and that's going to make our tabs. Okay, so you see our tabs, and then here's our top to the box, and we are going to use a corner rounder. I know Stampin' Up! Does not have a corner rounder anymore. However, I'm sure most people have one of some brand or another to make your corner rounder, all right? And we have to do what? We have to make our little V-cuts so that our tabs will lay nice and flat. Okay. And because this is a nice narrow box, it's a small box, so small things will fit in here. I believe 3 of the Hershey Kisses, not the Hershey Kisses, 3 of the Hershey miniature bars will fit in this box, and you could wrap paper around those to make them look festive in your box. But I found some Ghirardelli chocolates that were chocolate snowmen, and they're individually wrapped. And Christmas time is the only time that I really treat myself to the expensive chocolate. Otherwise, during the rest of the year, I go with the Hershey's cheapo chocolate and whatever. I don't buy the Ghirardelli expensive stuff. All right, so now we've got our box all cut out. Now we are going to glue, and we're going to use both of these tabs, and we're going to glue them down to our, basically like we've done in the past with the other boxes tonight. They are going to go and be squared up on the corners. And that one. Come on now, let's not give me any issues tonight. Let's go ahead and fold yourselves in there like a good paper does. And then I can get you squared up. Okay. Sometimes that's why the tape runner might be faster, but I'd always reinforce it with some glue or the double-sided tape. Okay, and again, we're going to take and fold down just to finish off our box on the inside. We're going to fold this down, but I do see that it has some of the score line on it, so I'm going to just trim that off a little bit so that that doesn't look too bad. I'm just going down to that first score line. That's all stuff that you learn how to do once you've got the box together. And this will also help it help to hold those flaps in, or those little tabbies in. I had some little paper or some little clips around here somewhere. I don't know what I've done with them, but they worked out really well to kind of clip your corners together until they really became adhered together. But I don't know what I did with them. They're here somewhere. One of my other goals is to redo my stamp studio and get some things organized better so that I can know where things are at. Okay, so here I am just squaring it up. I'm just kind of holding those tabs in there. until they kind of adhere to the inside. Okay, and again, I'm just going to take and just cut right to that first score line, just a little bit to make that fold in flat. And the same way over here on this one. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to fold over that tab and hold it until it gets nice and tight to that other piece. Take your bone folder and press it down. All right. So now what I have some designer series paper here. I did forget to cut a piece, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to lay a piece of the designer series paper down inside the bottom of my box. Okay. Just to kind of give the box a little dress up here. All right. So that's going to lay in the bottom of my box, just like so. All right. I'm going to close my box. It just closes like that. No need for a thumb holder, but if you wanted to put one in, you most definitely could. And I probably should have done that before yeah, let me see if I can. I don't think I can get that in there now. No, this one's just going to have to be without. But if you wanted to, you could put a little thumb tab here with a little circle punch. Okay, so then we're going to close this box up, and I'm going to put the designer series paper out here on the front. And again, use what you've got, ladies and gentlemen. It is it's more wasteful not to use your paper than it is to use it. And these could be used for little favors, for parties, for birthdays, whatever. Okay. And now I'm going to put little strips, and I just measured what the size of my box was, and I took down that 1/8 of an inch. So I didn't do all the measuring because my main point was just to basically show you how to make the boxes, not necessarily all the different ways that you could embellish them. So just embellish them however you choose. And that one got a little crooked. Can you fix it? I think I can. There we go. All right. So we got one on the front. We're going to have one on the back. You could put a bow on this. You could tie a ribbon around it. I'm going to put a greeting on the front as well as on the inside, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I just believe that little packaging like this, when people know that you've made it yourself, they appreciate the effort and the thought that you put into it. Okay. We are almost done with this because I'm not going to finish it with all the little embellishments, but you will get the picture. I will have the picture out on my blog when I finish this. Make sure that all my little gold rope is going the same direction so that it's not up and down. Okay, so there is the box number 3. Cute. I love it. I'm going to get a piece of white paper, and I'm going to cut it to fit up here, and then I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas right there, up there in the lid. On the front of this, I have a little circle that says just for you, and then I cut out of a scrap of gold paper a gold leaf. And I am going to just put that to the back of this. Whoops, I dropped it. To the back of this that I stamped in Evening Evergreen, and then I kind of went around it in Soft Succulent. Like I said, those were two of my very favorite colors, and they did away with them. And I'm going to use a dimensional, and I'm just going to pop that up off the top of that box. Just like so. So just for you. And then I have those Ghirardelli snowmen. Tell me I put it on the wrong side. Nope, I didn't. Good. Okay, you could even put a strip of designer paper there if you wanted to. But here I have dark chocolate snowman. And then I have a peppermint Ghirardelli snowman. So two of those fit in there. And like I said, I think 3 of the little Hershey miniatures would fit in there. Okay, so there is our third little box. So leave me a comment, everybody. Let me know what you think of our projects tonight. There will be more to come on some other fun packaging. I'm going to put these boxes out here one last time. Clear all this stuff up. There's our little box that I put the peanuts in. This is the box that I put my little candle in. Silly me. I don't know why. I thought that it was this great big box, because it's not. But there is the great big box that you can put lots of stuff in. So you can put hot chocolate bombs and cookies. And then there's our small box. So there you have it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed tonight's projects. Again, I hope that everybody had a wonderful day today for Thanksgiving. And I will see you back next week. Bye.